Let's take a walk down memory lane. In the beginning, this was planet Earth. It was nothing more than a sad, dry desert, similar to all my exes for some reason. And out of nowhere, something flipping happened and we got water. By the way, don't ask anyone what the flip happened in this period because you're gonna get a million answers. But the point is that we got water, and these little mother flippers started swimming in the water. These are the first bacteria that actually lived on the planet. And these are your ancestors, and mine and everybody else's. Look at them. I'm not gonna lie, they look kind of stupid. Look at this one in particular. One of us probably descended from it, and he did nothing but swim around in the water, lived, died, didn't play any retro games. The useless piece of poop. But anyway, those were our ancestors, and they were small and kind of stupid looking, but arguably kind of adorable at the same time. And we evolved, we grew up. You're now a very, very sexy, flashy meat bag doing a lot of meat bag-like things. You wake up, you poop, you eat, you poop again, you play retro games. But if you're really lucky, then you get to play some more retro games. And that's the meaning of life. That's how you know your life is accomplished. But why am I taking you along this trip down memory lane, you might ask? Why the flip am I talking about bacteria? No matter what my ex says, small things can be cute, adorable, and I personally like to believe practical. And get your mind out of the gutter, we're talking about the Anbernic RG28XX. This little beauty right here. Look how pretty it is. If you've been following me for a while, you know that I'm a big fan of the Anbernic RG35XX H. This handheld is the ultimate utilitarian's dream. It has thumbsticks for Dreamcast, for PSP, for Nintendo 64, for any game that might require them. And honestly, I was very happy with it. This is a jack of all trades. At first, I kind of hated the RG28XX when it was announced. I saw it as kind of useless. Why would someone buy something like this when they can buy something like this, which has arguably more features? Well, my dear nerds, I am not ashamed to say that I was wrong. Don't get me wrong, the RG28XX doesn't replace the 35XX but this has a charm of its own. It arguably makes you feel more like you're immersed in that retro nostalgia than the H does. This is an emulation machine. This is something that I could see myself as a little Vlad playing. Oh, and by the way, I have an actual cool announcement. This handheld was actually sent to me by the nice guys at Geek-Goo, which is a site selling some retro handhelds. This is not a sponsored review, no money was exchanged in any way. My opinions are my own, nothing changes that. But I appreciate that these guys were the first ones to send a review unit for the channel, so if you want to check them out, I left a link in the description. Right next to the link I also left the coupon in my description, so have fun with it. But anyway, coming back to the RG28XX, I was always against dedicated emulation handhelds for dedicated systems. I found it outright idiotic to have a specialized handheld for Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, or the original Game Boy, because all of those systems can be played onto something, more powerful like the H, or any other retro handheld for that matter. So I honestly didn't expect to like this little handheld as much as I did, mainly because this is pocketable as all heck. You see, my dear nerd, when you go out and about and you take a handheld with you, your mind locks into that task. You start thinking, on which pocket should I put it in? Are the sticks gonna snag? Are the sticks gonna be okay? Can I bend down on a chair because I left this flipping handheld in my back pocket? Will it snap in half? I got fatter by 2 kilos, maybe that's over the weight limit for these things. Your brain worries, you have that background anxiety that you can't get rid of. But this is one portable mother flipper, and I can honestly say that this is the first device. I probably might share this for the Mio A30 as well, but this is the first device that I feel I don't have a problem carrying anywhere. This is way more portable than this, even though you would think that there's really not a difference between them. but this just slides into everything. And by everything I mean pockets, and just look how natural GBA looks on this. In fact, all Game Boy games look marvelous on this. And you need to understand, because I don't think this gets conveyed on camera, you need to understand just how small this is. Look at this. This is a battery, okay? The Anbernic RG28XX is almost as tall as a flipping battery. And these are so small that we don't even think about them. Needless to say, psychologically, I don't even feel like I'm carrying this anywhere when I'm taking it with me. I can take it every flipping place. It lives in my pocket. And I low-key hate myself after all my babbling. I can't help myself but like some very specific systems on a small form factor handheld like this. GBA was always scaled up for tiny screens, and it just looks at home here. But don't get me wrong, I'm not kissing this handheld's butt. It also has a lot of drawbacks. For example, I have very bad eyes. You see, I'm a bastion of modesty, but I know that I was born with arguably pretty eyes, but which can't see for shit. I have to squint almost everywhere. When I look into monitors, smartphones, whatever, I squint. I'm like this. And the fact that the RG28XX has a 2.8-inch screen, this absolutely kills me. I play it in small increments of 20 minutes, because my eyes would simply get tired if I played more than this on this small screen. This actually depends on the individual, because while my experience is like this, others are having the time of their life with it. Tech Dweeb, for example, he's nearsighted, I think that's the term in English, and he has absolutely no problem enjoying the flip out of this.
Are you happy now?
In fact, judging by his review, this is one of his top favorite devices now. We all know that Tech Dweeb loves micro handhelds. So if you have an eyesight that's more close to his, then you would love this. If you have an eyesight that's more close to mine, then you would feel old and past your prime, and you would feel like basically you're done. You have 20 good years left, and then you might as well go into the woods and just find a tree and sit there and, accept existentialism and ponder upon life and how beautiful it is. And then you come to my cabin and you'll help me cut wood, because I'll be an old man living in a cabin somewhere. And we'll be friends. But not to get sidetracked too much, I was talking about the negative things. My finger can also cover all of the buttons here, and it looks ridiculous, but you eventually get used to them. And honestly, they feel kind of cute. I feel like a flipping giant. And the D-pad is actually pretty awesome. From my experience, it has high accuracy, just the perfect amount of resistance. I kind of hate mushy D-pads, but I also don't like when they are unusually hard to press. So this strikes a perfectly good balance. But yeah, if you have very big hands, way bigger than mine, I would actually say that I have fairly fat but small hands, but if you can grasp an entire basketball with just one hand, then you will not enjoy this. But if you're like me, and you would resemble Gimli from Lord of the Rings if you grew a big enough beard, then you would actually enjoy using this. Or at the very least get used to it and then enjoy using this. Another point though, which kind of hit me like a train when I first touched the RG28XX, was the build quality, in the sense that, well, there's no sugarcoating this, it feels like a plastic toy. Do you remember when we were a kid and your mom or dad would buy something from the local bazaar and you knew it was a cheap poop piece of mediocre plastic? And you knew, even as a idiot kid, that that was a super cheap plasticky toy. Well, this is how it feels. But I'm actually not upset at this. Look, the RG35XX H has a way better build quality, and this makes it feel like an emulation tool. This makes it feel like a jack of all trades, like an emulation machine. Whereas this little guy feels exactly like those cheap toys that I grew up with. And maybe you won't relate with this. Maybe you are one privileged tiny mother flipper and your parents bought you the cool toys. But if you grew up with your toys being made out of cheap plastic poop, then you will feel right at home. Just like we use shaders and overlays to make our games look as if they were on a CRT. I would argue that this plastic build makes it feel more immersive, because my brain instantly went way back in the past, in my oldest archives inside my brain. They were like, you know what, the hand feeling is similar, the plastic sounds similar, this feels like a toy, this doesn't feel like an emulation machine, this feels like something that your child would abuse and you would be okay with it. And I low-key hate myself for loving this, because I know Anbernic saved money. Most probably they wanted a bigger profit margin on their units, especially because they sold it for cheaper than the H and the Plus and all the others. But it somehow works for me. You grow up with cheap plastic, then as an adult you kind of crave cheap plastic. And last but not least, I had another gripe with it, but this one I'm willing to forgive. I really wanted thumbsticks on this. I basically wanted a smaller Anbernic RG35XX H. If they could have shrunk this to fit this screen, I would have been so happy. But honestly, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with Anbernic doing this, because even though I love thumbsticks, I know for a fact that I will never play PSP on this. This screen basically works beautifully with some systems, but it sucks donkey jewelry for others. So I would actually call this the perfect travel companion for some very specific systems, and the hell handheld for other specific systems. If you want to play PSP, then you will age way faster trying to play PSP on this. But if you want to play NES, GBA, Game Boy Color, OG Game Boy, stuff that looks good on a small screen, or whose handhelds actually had small screens, then you would feel as if this is the best flipping device ever. Oh, and don't get me started when it comes to battery life. Battery life is crazy. I don't even know how to describe battery life. You people will think I'm lying. Look, you need to see this. Do you see how much battery I have left? Do you see here? I've been playing with this device for 4 days. It came with roughly 60% battery, and I never flipping charged it. I literally spent hours on this. Hours and hours and hours. I lost track. I can't give you an exact number. But this is the first flipping charge, people. The first flipping charge, and it wasn't even a full charge. My theory is that this small screen sips energy like fine wine from this battery. And I don't want to raise your expectations too high. Maybe I was just lucky. Maybe I'll see some serious battery degradation. Maybe it's not calibrated properly. I don't know. My feeling is that this battery lasts a crazy long time. But another thing, and this one I can't forgive, like Anbernic could have done way better with this, is the freaking shoulder buttons. Let me show you. This housing is split between two plastic pieces, the top and the bottom, and the shoulder buttons are ingressed in the bottom part. They could have made these buttons so much bigger if they would have allowed it to occupy this upper part of the shell as well. But since they're only on the back, you always have to kind of fish for them. It's not the end of the world, but I feel like that's just a cost-cutting measure. But oh well, I always need to remind myself of the price. You can get the Anbernic RG28XX for around $50-something, and for that price, I mean, you get to play most systems. I swear to God, the barrier to entry for retro emulation systems has become so cheap these days. You can actually get pretty powerful hardware for way cheaper. It's absolutely amazing where we're going. These are my main thoughts about this flipping handheld. The color is actually growing on me. I hated when the GameSir X2S had the same color profile, but this one, because to my brain this is kind of a toy, this one kind of works, I would say. But I also have a black one on back order, which I bought from my own money, and I'm gonna compare and we'll see. So yeah, these are pretty much the highlights of this handheld. It's cheap, it feels cheap, but it feels natural, because it's supposed to be flipping cheap if you had cheap toys like this. This doesn't mean that the buttons will give out, but the feeling in the hand remains very, very authentic, I would say, to how you most probably would remember your toys from way back when. So anyway, my nerds, tell me what you think about this. Do you like the Anbernic RG28XX? Would you get one as your daily carry, or will you miss the thumbsticks too much? I'm kind of between worlds. I feel like this one is good to go out and about for quick walks. You go in the park, you put a hammock on, and you don't want to worry about anything. You're not packing anything with you. You're just taking the hammock and you're taking this. For these kinds of trips, the RG28XX is a dream. But if you're gonna go on a commute, if you have 20 minutes on the bus or train, if you're gonna go between cities, then you should take this precious, more classic baby, which, as you all know, I love. Father and son, people. Look how beautiful they are. I should cut this video. I have 45 minutes of raw footage to edit. I hate myself. If you stayed with me for this long, consider subscribing. I would love you so much if you did. And if you like what I do and you want to support me more directly, please consider either becoming a YouTube channel member or a Patreon. It doesn't matter in which way you decide to support me. If you do decide to support me, you will end up on my wall of fame along with these other awesome people, which get showcased in each and every one of my videos. Everyone will know that out of 8 billion mother flippers on this planet, you are one of the chosen few that are actually awesome, and which the nerd god himself will most probably welcome you in Nerd Valhalla. But anyway, this is all from me, my dear nerds. It's 34 degrees in this tiny closet of an office that I have. I'm sweating bullets, and I need to go editing. I love you all very much. Bye.